The royal transport shuddered as it docked with the human warship. Princess Kalahara gripped her seat, all four of her hearts racing with fear. Her violet skin had paled to a sickly lavender color. "Your Highness, we have arrived," said her attendant, voice of protocol. His tone carried the sadness they all felt. The war was over, and the mighty Vixilian Empire had lost. Kalahara straightened her ceremonial robes, trying to look brave. She was the daughter of Emperor Jorax, after all. Even in defeat, she must show dignity. But inside, pure terror gripped her. The humans had won the war with their new weapon. After they destroyed an entire Vixilian colony world, her father surrendered. Now, as part of the peace treaty, Kalahara was being handed over as a cultural ambassador. Everyone knew what that really meant. She was a hostage to ensure her father's good behavior. What terrified Kalahara most were the stories about humans. All her life, she had heard that humans were carnivorous monsters who ate their enemies. Some reports claimed humans even consumed their own kind during their early development. And now she was being given to them. "Remember your training, Princess," voice of protocol whispered. "Show no fear. It will only excite them." The airlock hissed open. Kalahara's legs trembled so badly, she wondered if she could walk at all. Two human guards stood waiting, their faces hidden behind dark visors. Behind them stood a tall figure in a blue uniform decorated with symbols of rank. "Captain Frank Miller," the human announced, stepping forward. His face was uncovered, allowing Kalahara to see him clearly for the first time. He had tan skin, short brown hair, and eyes that reminded her of the deep oceans of her homeworld. At over 6 feet tall, he towered over her slender frame. "Princess Kalahara," Miller continued, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Welcome aboard the Dauntless." Kalahara noticed that the human wasn't showing his teeth, a small mercy, as Vixilian intelligence had reported that humans bared their teeth before attacking. Perhaps they were saving her for a special occasion. Voice of protocol bowed low. "The princess of the 7th House of Vexil is entrusted to your care, as agreed in the Treaty of Surrender." Captain Miller nodded. "We understand the significance of this cultural exchange. The princess will be treated with all appropriate respect." Kalahara stepped forward on wobbly legs. This close to the human, she could detect his strange alien scent. Not unpleasant, but definitely foreign. She waited for rough hands to grab her, to drag her away to some holding cell. Instead, Miller simply gestured toward the corridor. "If you'll follow me, Your Highness, I'll show you to your quarters." The walk through the human ship was a blur of metal corridors and curious stares from the crew. Humans of different colors and sizes watched her pass. Some looked hostile, others merely curious. None looked hungry, which Kalahara took as a positive sign. They stopped at a door that slid open automatically. Inside was a spacious room with a bed, desk, and viewing window that showed the stars outside. "These will be your quarters," Miller explained. "Lieutenant Amy Russell will be your liaison. She'll help you with anything you need and explain our customs." A female human with blonde hair stepped forward and smiled. "It's an honor to meet you, Princess." "I'll leave you to settle in," Captain Miller said. "We depart for Earth in 1 hour." As the door closed behind the humans, Kalahara sank onto the edge of the bed. This wasn't the cell she had expected, but she wasn't fooled. The comfortable room, the polite captain, the friendly liaison, these were just preludes to whatever fate awaited her. Earth. The human homeworld. How many of her people would be there, waiting to be consumed? And how long before it was her turn? Kalahara spent her first day aboard the Dauntless in her quarters, convinced that each sound from the corridor might be humans coming to take her to some terrible fate. When Lieutenant Amy Russell arrived with a tray of food, the princess nearly jumped out of her violet skin. "I thought you might be hungry," Amy said, placing the tray on a small table. "I brought several options since we're not sure what your dietary needs are." Kalahara approached cautiously. The tray held several small bowls containing colorful foods. Some she recognized as similar to Vixilian cuisine, others completely foreign. Nothing looked like meat, which was somewhat reassuring. "We don't bite, you know," Amy said with a small smile. "Whatever you've heard about humans, I promise we're not planning to eat you." Kalihara's antenna twitched in surprise. "You know what we think about humans. We've intercepted enough of your propaganda broadcasts," Amy replied. "The whole humans are bloodthirsty carnivores thing. Not accurate." Despite her suspicion, hunger won out. Kalihara carefully tasted a blue fruit that reminded her of home. It was surprisingly good. "Captain Miller has arranged a tour of the ship for tomorrow," Amy continued. "He thinks it might help you feel more comfortable if you understand our systems and meet some of the crew." "Why would he care if I'm comfortable?" Kalihara asked. Amy tilted her head. "Because that's his job, and because he's a decent person." That night, Kalihara couldn't sleep. The strange humming of the human ship, so different from Vexillian vessels, kept her awake. Near what she guessed was midnight, she heard a commotion in the corridor, shouting, running feet. Was this an attack? Had some faction of humans decided to ignore the treaty? Curiosity overwhelmed fear. She pressed her ear to the door. "Medical emergency in engineering," someone called out. "Burns victim needs immediate transport." The door slid open suddenly, making Kalihara stumble backward. Captain Miller stood there, looking surprised to see her up. "Sorry to disturb you, Princess. We have a situation. Please return to bed." "Is someone hurt?" she asked. Miller paused. "Yes, one of our engineers. There was an accident with a power coupling." "Can I help? My people have advanced knowledge of burn treatments." Something changed in Miller's expression. Surprise, then consideration. "Come with me," he said finally. The medical bay was a flurry of activity. A young human male lay on a bed, his arm severely burned. A ship's doctor looked frustrated. "The dermal regenerator isn't calibrated for burns this deep," the doctor was saying. "Try the Vexillian method," Kalihara said, stepping forward. "Cool the area with hydrogel, then apply sap from the Tyrian plant." The medical staff stared at her. "She's right," Miller said. "The princess is offering help. Let's take it." Under Kalihara's guidance, they treated the engineer. Within minutes, his pain had eased significantly. "Thank you," the injured man said, looking at her with genuine gratitude. Later, as Miller escorted her back to her quarters, Kalihara worked up her courage. "Why did you trust me? I could have suggested something harmful." Miller stopped walking and turned to face her. "If you wanted to harm us, you wouldn't have volunteered help. Besides, we verified your suggestion against our database of Vexillian medical practices." "You're very thorough," she noted. "I'm responsible for everyone on this ship," he replied, "including you." Back in her room, Kalihara sat by the viewport, watching stars streak by. The humans had shown her something unexpected tonight. Trust, however limited. And she had helped save one of them, though she wasn't entirely sure why she'd offered. Perhaps not all the stories about humans were true. Perhaps there was more to learn about these strange beings who had defeated her people yet treated their enemies with surprising kindness. Or perhaps this was all part of a more elaborate game than she had imagined. After a week aboard the Dauntless, Kalihara had established a routine. Each morning, Lieutenant Amy showed her different parts of the ship. In the afternoons, she studied human culture from data provided on her room's terminal. The evenings were spent observing humans in their natural habitat, the mess hall. "You don't have to sit alone, you know," Amy said one evening, carrying her tray toward Kalihara's isolated corner. "The crew is curious about you. Curious how I might taste." Kalihara muttered, only half joking. Amy rolled her eyes. "Still on that? Look around. We're eating synthesized proteins and vegetables. No one here is eyeing you for dinner." Before Kalihara could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. "Battle stations," announced a voice over the intercom. "This is not a drill. All personnel to combat positions." Amy jumped up. "I have to go. Stay in your quarters until this is over." Kalahara hurried back to her room, heart racing. Through her viewport, she caught glimpses of sleek, predatory ships surrounding the Dauntless. She recognized them immediately. Cracksun raiders, the scavengers of space. They attacked damaged or isolated ships, taking whatever they wanted and killing anyone who resisted. The ship rocked violently as it took hits. The lights flickered, then steadied. Kalahara paced anxiously, wondering what would happen if the humans lost this fight. The Cracksun had no treaty with the Vixilians. They would show no mercy to an enemy princess. Her door slid open suddenly. Captain Miller stood there, a laser pistol in his hand and a cut on his forehead. "We're being boarded," he said tersely. "The Cracksun have breached our lower decks. This area may not be secure for long." "What do you want me to do?" Kalahara asked, surprised by her own calm. Miller handed her a small device, emergency beacon. "If Cracksun troops find you, press this. It will alert security to your location." He hesitated, then added, "These raiders have a history of taking high-value prisoners for ransom. You're protecting me, even during an attack on your ship." "That's the deal," Miller said simply. "Now stay put and stay quiet." After he left, Kalahara realized something significant. Miller had armed himself but hadn't restrained her. During a crisis, he had trusted her not to take advantage of the situation. No Vixilian commander would have shown such trust to an enemy. Minutes stretched into an hour. The sounds of battle echoed through the ship. Weapons fire, shouted orders, the occasional explosion. Then silence, more frightening than the noise. Her door slid open again. Two figures stood there, but they weren't human. The Cracksun raiders, with their reptilian features and body armor made from scavenged technology, pointed weapons at her. "A Vixilian," one hissed in the common trade language. "The princess, by her markings. She'll fetch a good price." Kalahara backed away, fumbling with the beacon Miller had given her. Before she could activate it, weapons fire erupted from behind the Cracksun. Both raiders fell, revealing Captain Miller and two security officers. "Are you hurt?" Miller asked, stepping over the fallen raiders. "No," Kalahara said, staring at him in shock. "You came back for me." "Of course," he replied, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "We've driven them off, but they damaged our primary engine. We're setting course for a repair station." As they walked to a more secure area of the ship, Kalahara saw the aftermath of the battle. Injured humans were being treated. Damage control teams worked on breached sections. The humans had fought fiercely, not just for their ship, but for her as well. "Why would you risk your lives for me?" she asked Miller quietly. "I'm just a political hostage." Miller glanced at her. "Is that what you think you are?" "What else would I be?" "An ambassador," he said. "A bridge between our peoples." After a pause, he added, "And someone worth protecting." The repair station orbited a small moon in neutral territory. It was a massive structure, with docking bays for dozens of ships and a central hub bustling with travelers from across the galaxy. Kalahara watched from an observation deck as the Dauntless was guided into position for repairs. "We'll be here for 3 days," Amy explained, joining her at the viewport. "Captain Miller has approved shore leave for you, if you'd like to visit the station." Kalahara's antenna perked up in surprise. "I'm allowed to leave the ship." "With an escort, yes. The station is neutral ground. Many species come here to trade." The prospect of freedom, even temporary, was tempting, but something troubled Kalahara. "Why does Miller trust me so much? I could try to escape, contact my people." Amy smiled. "Where would you go? Besides, I think he's starting to like you." The next morning, Kalahara found herself walking through the bustling market of the repair station with Captain Miller himself as her escort. She marveled at the variety of aliens mingling peacefully, species that were bitter enemies in other contexts, here engaged in simple commerce. "It wasn't always like this," Miller explained as they passed a stall selling exotic fruits. The neutral stations only became truly neutral after the Great Accord 50 years ago. My father never mentioned a Great Accord, Kalihara said. Miller's expression darkened slightly. There's a lot your father hasn't told you, Princess. Before she could question him further, a commotion erupted nearby. 3 Vexillian males in civilian clothing stood arguing with a station security officer. Kalihara instinctively shrank back, but it was too late. One of them spotted her. Princess Kalihara, he called out, pushing past the security officer. By the Emperor's grace, you're alive. Miller moved protectively in front of her, his hand dropping to his weapon. Stand back. The Vexillian raised his hands to show he meant no harm. I am Dren, royal astronomer. We believe our princess was being held prisoner, or worse. I'm fine, Kalihara said, stepping around Miller. The humans have treated me well. The other Vexillians approached cautiously, eyeing Miller with suspicion. Princess, we have a ship docked at Bay 12. We can take you home. The war is over. You're no longer needed as a hostage. Kalihara felt Miller tense beside her. This was the opportunity she had dreamed of since being handed over to the humans. Yet she hesitated. How did the war end? She asked. Dren looked uncomfortable. Your father accepted the humans' terms. There is peace now. What terms? What did my father agree to? The Vexillians exchanged glances. Princess, this is not the place. Tell me, she insisted. Miller spoke quietly. Your father agreed to stop the biological weapons program aimed at Earth. The program he denied existed. The words hit Kalihara like a physical blow. What? My father would never. He did, Miller said gently. The information came from Vexillian scientists who defected when they learned the weapon's true purpose. It's human lies, Dren sputtered, but his antenna drooped slightly, a telltale sign of deception in Vexillians. Kalihara felt dizzy. If this was true, her father had planned genocide. And if the humans knew this, why didn't you destroy us? She asked Miller. You had the power. Some wanted to, Miller admitted. But most humans believe in justice, not vengeance. We wanted peace, not extinction. The truth crashed through Kalihara's understanding of her world. Her father, her people, her understanding of humans, all built on lies. Princess, come with us, Dren pleaded. Whatever the human has told you. I need time, Kalihara said, stepping back toward Miller. I need to think. As they returned to the Dauntless, Kalihara walked in silence, her mind reeling. Everything she had believed about humans was wrong. And everything she had believed about her own people might be wrong too. Why tell me this? She finally asked Miller. You could have kept me ignorant. Because, Miller said simply, peace built on lies never lasts. Kalihara couldn't sleep that night. Her mind kept returning to what she had learned at the repair station. If her father had truly been developing biological weapons against Earth, then everything she believed about the war was wrong. The humans weren't the monsters she had been taught to fear. A soft chime from her door interrupted her thoughts. Enter, she called out. Amy stepped in, holding a datapad. Her usually cheerful face looked serious. Princess, there's something you need to see. The screen showed a broadcast from the Vexillian homeworld. A military commander named Grex stood before the Imperial Council, speaking passionately. Emperor Jorax has betrayed our people by surrendering to the humans, Grex declared. Worse, he sacrificed his own daughter to these carnivores as part of his cowardly peace treaty. Kalihara gasped as images appeared on screen. Crude manipulations showing humans performing rituals with what looked like Vexillian body parts. Though clearly fake, the images were designed to spark outrage. They're claiming the humans have executed you in some barbaric ceremony, Amy explained gently. Commander Grex is using this propaganda to push for a renewal of the war. But I'm alive. This is all lies. We know that. But your people don't. Captain Miller arrived shortly after, his face grim. Princess, We've received reports that Commander Grex has placed your father under house arrest. A military coup is underway. Kalihara's 4 hearts seemed to stop at once. Despite his flaws, she loved her father. Is he safe? For now. Grex needs him alive to maintain a veneer of legitimacy, but the situation is deteriorating rapidly. Miller set a small device on the table between them. This is a secure transmitter. You could send a message to your people, show them you're alive and well. It might undermine Grex's propaganda. Kalihara stared at the device. If I do this, Grex will declare me a traitor. I can never go home. That's true, Miller admitted. But if you don't, millions may die in a renewed war. Amy placed a hand gently on Kalihara's shoulder. No one can make this choice for you, Princess. Left alone to decide, Kalihara paced her quarters. The choice before her seemed impossible. Betray her world by siding with former enemies, or stay silent while her people marched into a war based on lies. Hours later, she called Miller back to her quarters. Before I decide, she said, I need to know the complete truth. Was my father developing weapons to attack Earth? Miller nodded slowly. Yes, we have irrefutable evidence. The biological agent was designed to target human DNA specifically, while leaving all other life forms unharmed. And the Vexillian colony you destroyed, was that necessary? Miller's face showed pain at the memory. The colony was evacuated before the demonstration. We made sure no lives were lost. The destruction of Narthos was regrettable, but it convinced your father to end the war before either side used weapons that could cause true extinction. Kalihara studied Miller's face, looking for any sign of deception. She found none. I always wondered why humans didn't simply conquer us after winning the war, she said softly. Now I understand. You're not the monsters I was taught to fear. She reached for the transmitter. I'll send the message, not to support humans, but to stop more Vexillian deaths in a pointless war. As she recorded her message, Kalihara felt something change inside her. For the first time since leaving her homeworld, she wasn't making choices as a princess following royal protocol or as a hostage trying to survive. She was making a moral choice based on truth, regardless of the personal cost. When she finished, Miller watched her with new respect in his eyes. What happens now? Kalihara asked. Now we head to Earth as planned, Miller replied, but not with you as a hostage. Then as what? As the first true Vexillian ambassador to Earth, someone who knows both sides of the story and can help build real peace. Outside the viewport, the repair station fell away as the Dauntless resumed its journey to Earth. Kalihara watched the stars, wondering what awaited her on the human homeworld, and whether her people would ever forgive her for choosing truth over loyalty. The blue-green planet filled the viewport as the Dauntless entered Earth orbit. Kalihara had seen images of the human homeworld, but nothing prepared her for its beauty. Vast oceans, swirling cloud patterns, and the lights of cities that glowed on the night side. It's beautiful, she whispered, her antennae quivering with emotion. Captain Miller stood beside her on the observation deck. Yes, it is. That's why we fought so hard to protect it. In the 2 weeks since Kalihara had sent her message to the Vexillian people, much had changed. Commander Grex had declared her a traitor, but her broadcast had caused division among her people. Many questioned why their princess would defend humans if they were truly the monsters Grex claimed. The landing shuttle is ready, Amy announced, joining them at the viewport. The diplomatic team is waiting to meet you. Kalihara felt her nervousness return. How will your people react to me? After the war, after everything. With curiosity, mostly, Miller said. You're the first Vexillian most humans will have ever seen in person. The shuttle ride to Earth's surface was smooth but tense. Kalihara watched through the window as they descended through clouds, revealing a sprawling city below. Buildings of various shapes and sizes stretched to the horizon, with green parks scattered between them. They landed on a platform atop a large building. A small group of humans waited, dressed in formal attire. Remember, just be yourself, Amy whispered as the shuttle door opened. A woman with silver hair stepped forward. Princess Kalihara, I am Director Elena West of the Diplomatic Corps. Welcome to Earth. Kalihara bowed slightly. Thank you for receiving me, especially under these difficult circumstances. Director West smiled. Your broadcast was quite courageous. It has given us hope for real peace between our peoples. The diplomatic quarters assigned to Kalihara were spacious and had been carefully prepared with environmental adjustments to match Vexillian preferences, slightly warmer and more humid than humans typically preferred. That evening, a reception was held in her honor. Dozens of important humans gathered to meet her. Kalihara noticed Miller standing near the wall, watching the proceedings with a careful eye. Is the captain still my guard? She asked Amy quietly. Not exactly, Amy replied. He requested to remain as your security liaison. He feels responsible for you. A tall human approached them. Princess Kalihara, I'm Secretary Philip Gordon. Your message caused quite a stir in the United Earth government. I only spoke the truth, Kalihara said. Truth is often the most powerful weapon in diplomacy, Gordon replied. We've received a communication from a group calling themselves the Vexillian Reform Council. They claim to represent those opposed to Commander Grex's military rule. The Reform Council? Kalihara's antenna perked up. They're mostly scholars and common citizens. Do they have any real power? They control 3 outer provinces and have significant support among your military's younger officers. They've requested to send representatives to Earth to speak with you. Kalihara felt a surge of hope. Perhaps her actions had made more difference than she realized. Later, as the reception was ending, Miller approached her. Out of his uniform and dressed in formal civilian clothes, he looked different, less the stern captain and more a man with thoughts and feelings of his own. You did well tonight, he said. The diplomats are impressed. I'm still learning how to speak with humans without fear, Kalihara admitted. All my life, I was taught to see your kind as dangerous predators. Miller smiled slightly. And what do you see now? Kalihara looked around the room, at the humans talking, laughing, some glancing curiously in her direction. People. Different from my people, but still just people. That's a good start for an ambassador, Miller said. Standing on a balcony overlooking the city lights, Kalihara felt something she hadn't expected when she first boarded the human ship, a sense of possibility. She had come to Earth expecting to be consumed by monsters, only to find herself freed from the prison of lies she had been raised in. What happens tomorrow? She asked Miller. Tomorrow, he said, we begin building a real peace. Together. 3 months passed since Kalihara's arrival on Earth. Spring came to the northern hemisphere, bringing flowers and warm breezes to the diplomatic compound where she lived. From her balcony, she watched children playing in a nearby park, their laughter carrying on the wind. Today was important. The Vexillian Reform Council delegation had finally arrived after weeks of careful negotiations. Kalihara adjusted her formal robes, making sure the royal insignia was properly displayed. Despite being called a traitor by Commander Grex, she was still determined to represent her people with dignity. Ready? Miller asked, entering her quarters. Though no longer her official guard, Frank Miller had remained by her side throughout her time on Earth, becoming something more than a protector, a friend. As ready as I'll ever be, she replied, her antenna betraying her nervousness. The meeting took place in a circular chamber designed for interspecies conferences. 5 Vexillians rose as Kalihara entered. She recognized some faces. Teachers, scientists, 1 military officer who had served under her father. Princess Kalihara, said Elder Ziv, the oldest among them. It does our hearts good to see you alive and well. Thank you for coming, Kalihara said. The journey must have been difficult given the current situation. Elder Ziv nodded gravely. Grex controls the capital, but his support weakens daily. Your message opened many eyes. The discussions lasted hours. The Reform Council shared news from home. Emperor Jorax remained under house arrest, but was safe. 3 more provinces had joined the reform movement. Most importantly, they had discovered more evidence of the biological weapons program, confirming what the humans had claimed. We were deceived, Elder Ziv said sadly. Not just about the weapons, but about humans themselves. We were taught they were monsters. I believed the same, Kalahara admitted, until I lived among them. They discussed a new peace treaty, one built on truth and mutual respect, rather than fear and coercion. The humans, represented by Director West, offered scientific and medical exchange programs. The Vixilians proposed cultural missions to help both species understand each other better. As the meeting concluded, Elder Ziv took Kalahara aside. There is one more matter, Princess. The Reform Council wishes to establish a government in exile, with you as our leader. Kalahara felt her 4 hearts skip beats. Me, but I have no experience in governing. You have something more valuable, moral courage. You chose truth over comfortable lies, even when it cost you everything. After the delegation departed, Kalahara found herself walking through the diplomatic compound's gardens with Miller. The setting sun cast long shadows across the grass. They want me to lead them, she said, still processing the idea. What will you do? Miller asked. I don't know. 3 months ago, I was a frightened princess who thought humans would eat me. Now I'm asked to lead a revolution. Miller smiled. Life takes strange turns. If I accept, I'll need advisors I can trust. People who understand both worlds. Kalahara stopped walking and turned to face him. People like you. Frank. Something changed in Miller's expression, surprise, followed by something warmer. Are you offering me a job, Princess? I'm asking for your help, she corrected. As someone who showed me kindness when he could have shown cruelty. As someone who protected me even when I thought he was my enemy. The distance between them had seemed vast when they first met. Different species, different worlds, different sides of a war. Now, standing in an earth garden as the first stars appeared above, that distance felt much smaller. Whatever you decide, Miller said quietly. I'll help however I can. Kalahara looked up at the darkening sky. Somewhere out there was her homeworld, caught in conflict and change. And here was Earth, once feared, now a place of unexpected sanctuary. Between these worlds, she stood as a bridge, no longer a hostage princess, no longer afraid. I came here believing I would be consumed by monsters, she said softly. Instead, I found the truth, and the truth freed me. As night fell over Earth, Kalahara and Miller walked back toward the diplomatic compound, 2 figures from different worlds walking side by side. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new decisions, but for tonight, it was enough to know that fears could be overcome, lies could be unlearned, and bridges could be built, even across the stars.